Christmas pudding time already. This Sunday, which is the 22nd of November this year, is Stir Up Sunday, which is a Victorian tradition where all the family came together to make the pudding, or the Christmas cake actually, but pudding in this case, and they all take a turn to stir with the spoon and make a wish for the year ahead. And boy, do we need a wish for the year ahead. So let's get started. So I've got a big bowl. Now I've got all my ingredients in little bowls here weighed out, and hopefully you have got yours ready at home as well. So I'm going to put all the dry ingredients into the bowl first and make sure they're nicely mixed so they don't get cluggy. So I've got my currants and my raisins and sultanas. I've got some vegetarian suet, which just makes it so that everybody can eat it. And I've got some flour with a teaspoon of mixed spice in here. Now you could use gluten-free flour if you like, and use some gluten-free breadcrumbs as well, and then it would be suitable for gluten-free as well. I've got some breadcrumbs. I've got some lovely brown sugar, soft brown sugar, just makes it nice and rich, and it's not too sweet. A Christmas pudding isn't too sweet, it mainly comes from the natural sweetness. And here I've got some dates and some apricots, and I'm just going to snip these apricots up. Now if you don't like apricots or you don't like dates, you could use prunes or something similar, but it's a bit like making sticky toffee pudding. If my husband knew there were dates in sticky toffee pudding, he wouldn't like that. So he doesn't know, and it all melts down because this is going to cook for 6 hours. This is a big pudding, mind. If you're doing a smaller one, you could split this mixture into two and make 2 smaller puddings, and they would steam for about 4 hours, which is still a nice length of time. And you've got your fruit obviously, but it's not in big chunks. So I'm just cutting those apricots up into little slices, little pieces. And a Christmas pudding is, going back a long way obviously, using up all the dried fruits, and you flame it with brandy at the end. Now mine is not alcoholic today. I'm not using alcohol in it, I'm just using some apple juice. And traditionally actually our family recipe uses 3/4 apple juice or cider and some milk, but I'm not using milk today. So we've got some dates and apricots in there. So that's all our dried ingredients. So if you get your spoon and really mix those around, this just means when you put your liquid in, your apple juice, that it won't go all lumpy. So let's get all that mixed around. And it's just a lovely big, there's a lot of mixture, but it does all fit in that bowl. You'll just have to trust me on that one. So we want to get that, the little lumps of soft brown sugar tends to lump together a little bit, so just make sure they're all broken down. You could put them into a blender if you wanted to, the apple and carrot and the soft brown sugar, and just make sort of a paste and add that in. So that's a nice dry mix there now, all nicely and evenly mixed. So into that, I'm going to put 1 egg. So I usually do break mine just into a bowl, just in case you get any shell or anything there. So I'm putting the egg in there. And then I've got a carrot and an apple to go in there. So my carrot I'm going to grate, and I'm not peeling it, I've washed it, but I'm not going to peel the carrot. And this is like, we were talking about this with a friend of mine, and a lady that comes on some of the courses, and her family recipe has carrot in and apple as well. And she said it's the only one she knows that's got carrot. And it dates back to the war, when you needed to pad it out and maybe you didn't get quite so much dried fruit. But it also gives quite a nice light texture. So into there I'm going to put my carrot, and then I'm going to quickly peel this apple. We'll peel the apple and grate that in as well. Now I've got, my grater has a little box on the bottom, which is really handy for cheese and things if you don't use it all up, or carrots indeed, and pop it in the fridge. But my apple's gone flying across the floor. I'll just wash it. Oh dear. The trials and tribulations of filming on your own, because there's just me here, so we're socially distancing. So I've caught my apple and I've washed it in the sink, you'll be glad to know. under the tap. Goodness me. So then just grate your apple like so. And this just gives such a lovely moist, when you tip the pudding out it's solid, but when you cut into it, it all nicely crumbles, but crumbles in a lovely rich, moist, it's delicious. Right, so that's my apple grated. So we're going to pop that in there, catch him while we can. Put him in there, just get that last bit out. And then I want half a pint, I'll just get that bit off the table there, it is clean. Half a pint of liquid. So I've got apple juice. You could use cider, you could use some stout if you want a rich one. You could replace a part of it with some rum, would be lovely. But mine is alcohol free, and I think because this is an old family recipe, pretty certain that comes from Granny. Stout Methodists, devout Methodists might be a better way of putting it. Methodists, no alcohol. And all we do there is stir all this together. And you get this beautiful, rich, appley smelling, little bit of spice pudding. So we mix that together absolutely thoroughly. And then it's really pale now, but when it comes out of the steamer, I'll show you in a minute, it's really dark and luscious. When you tip it out, heat a bit of brandy on Christmas Day and flame that brandy. Put a little bit of holly on top and it is perfect. So that is all the Christmas pudding is, just stirred together, fruit and flour and suet. The suet's instead of butter and such like, obviously, but it just cooks really nice and slowly and makes it good texture. So that's all ready. So prepare the bowl. Got the enamel bowl here. You could use a nice Mason Cash ceramic one. Some people use plastic, but I think everybody's veering away from that now, and so we should. So the enamel ones for me, I love them. They're a traditional, really good old-fashioned farmhouse dish. So I send you out 2 parchment circles, one smaller than the other. So put the small one in the bottom, just press that down again. So I've just lightly greased it with a bit of butter and squash that into the bottom. It just means that when you come to tip your pudding out, it will come out easily. Obviously take it off before you flame it, otherwise you might flame a bit more than just the pudding. And we're going to tip all that mixture in. In we go. Wonderful. Then I'm going to pop that. So that's all the mixture goes into the bowl, nice and full, not overflowing because it will expand slightly. And squash that nicely down, nice and firm, into the bowl, nice and flat. And then use the larger piece to put on top and just flatten that down so all your mixture's underneath. And then all we do, I gave you a piece of kitchen foil, I'll just get mine, gave you a piece of kitchen foil at that side, just put that over the top and then carefully, don't rip it, but carefully I usually lift it up and fold it really firmly, tightly around the outsides like that. There. And bring it underneath. If you rip it, just get another piece because you do want it to be nice and tightly around the edge. Now, my gran always used to tie it with string, but you don't need to. That's nice and firm. I usually put it on the table, just squash it down a bit. And then that's going to steam. Now, there's 2 ways of steaming. Here I've got a steamer, and I only have one. So I just put it in the top, it's got holes in obviously, put it in the top of the steamer and put the lid on and put a nice lot of water in the bottom and put that on the hob, bring it up to the boil and then knock it right back to 2 so that it's simmering gently, and it will simmer gently for about 6 hours, and you will need to top the water off after about 3. Just keep checking on it, don't let it go dry. Alternatively, if you don't have a steamer, just have a pan of the right size and put an upturned plate on the bottom. That stops your pudding having direct contact with the bottom of the pan. Pop your pudding in, put it so that it's half full of boiling water, put your lid on, a nice firm lid, and again, simmer it, bring it up to the boil, then simmer it gently for about 6 hours. Now then, your pudding then is here. So let it cool completely, just leave the pan, switch it off. Sometimes, especially if I'm doing quite a few, I do them in the oven in a baking pan, a roasting pan. Lift it off the bottom with the roasting rack, put your puddings in, fill it with water, and then put some foil over the top. So you're creating like a steamer. And I put that in the oven, particularly if I've got to go out, or I'm going to bed or something. Then I'll put it on timer. Make sure it's nicely stocked up with water at the end. So here, you take the foil off and take the top off, and then you'll see you've got a lovely rich brown pudding. And if you want to, that'll just tip out. Well, you'll possibly need a knife just to edge it out. But I'm going to just show you quickly how to, so that comes out. She says easily, it does come out easily, I promise you. Let's get him out. He's a nice big pudding. Come on, pudding. Don't do this to me. I've got the wrong knife. It will come out, I promise you. I can feel it. It's moving around. Come on, pudding. I'm going to wish I'd never started this now, wouldn't I? Yeah, there we go. Right, so the pudding comes out. Look at him. Take the paper off. I'm going to leave it now because we're putting it back in. Gorgeous. And then just heat up a spoon of brandy and set it on fire carefully. Put it over the top. So put your paper back on. Put your foil back on, some clean foil. And then tuck it really tightly around the edge again. So this is your cooked pudding, but it's going to reheat on Christmas Day. Steam again for about an hour and a half because it's a big one. It wants to heat right through. And then onto that, we're going to take your piece of muslin that I sent you, and you want to put that on the table, cleaner than mine, and then put your pudding on, and then get your two corners, opposite corners, and pull it up and tie it nice and tightly. And then take the other two corners and tie those nice and tightly. This A looks very pretty if you're selling it to somebody, giving it to somebody, but B, it makes it really easy to just get a wooden spoon and pull it out of the pan. So that looks great. And then you've got your ribbons. So just get your gold and your black ribbon. I'm just trying to get this the right way around. And then just tie those around the knots. And tie a ribbon in the top, a bow in the top. And then you've got your little label. Put whatever you like on there. I've put humble pie Christmas pudding. You can put the ingredients if you're giving it to somebody, and just tie that around the knot as well. And that is your completed humble pie Christmas pudding. Now, I know I've been a bit chaotic today. However, I will be very organised. If you enjoyed today's video and would like to do some more, I'm launching the subscription service, The Club, in the new year. January, February, March. We're doing 3 months. Every month there'll be 4 different video recipes. There'll be an ingredient card every week. There'll be a Facebook page. There'll be lots of fun. I'm going to set you some competitions, and it'll be great. It's £30 for 3 months, and I really hope you will join me there. Go to the 25th of December on my website, humblepieyorkshire.co.uk, and you'll find all the details and booking there. Makes a great present. So there's your Christmas pudding. I look forward to seeing yours. Post them on Instagram, post them on Facebook, send me them direct by email. I hope you thoroughly enjoy eating your own humble pie Christmas pudding this Christmas. Thank you very much.